Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between, welcome to This Is a Revolution, your weekly RevPro podcast, here on always on CromulentWrestling with myself, George, and my good friends, David, the Mark, and Spike. How you doing, gentlemen?
Yeah, good, thank you, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate, good. It's a lovely day outside as we're recording. The thunderstorms have passed me, and yeah, we can't really complain. How about you?
Mate, exactly the same. Literally thunder, lightning, torrential rain, and I'm secretly loving it because it gives me an excuse to just sit inside and watch TV and listen to Nick Cave and cook nice food and have a chilled out Sunday.
Oh, you're so middle-aged. How about you, Spike?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Nice chilled out Sunday. Haven't cooked any food because I do it all week, so it's always a bonus.
Get a day off from it. Yeah, nice. I'm speaking with you, lovely gentlemen, and of course, I'm going to go and watch myself some football. We've had enough of your thoughts on that, gents, so we're not going to go there. But gents, we're going to go through today. Obviously, J Cup coming up, so we're going to go through the card there and speak a bit about Sheffield as well and what could link in from what we're going to see. However, gentlemen, we do have someone who has requested some time with us here on This Is a Revolution. Who clearly has some things that they want to say, and who am I to say no to the Weasel? Sorry. The Centerpiece, the Saint of St. Mary's, all of that, gents. It's David Francisco.
Give me just a second, George. Give me just a second because I'm scrolling through my notifications to find something that is very important here. This is before purpose. I know it's going to take a while. Hi, everybody. How you doing? You okay? Dave DeMarc, I got a question for you while I find this. I'm going to come back to this. But here's my question for you, and you got to be serious here. Why didn't you give me Hero of the Week in Southampton last time?
Why didn't I give you Hero of the Week?
Mm-hmm.
Not only did I not give you Hero of the Week, Mr. Francisco, I gave you Villain of the Week.
Because you're a coward. Oh, sorry. I didn't want to answer for you. Go ahead.
You single-handedly put yourself on a mission to break up Sunshine Machine for no reason whatsoever. Like they're not even in your orbit at the moment, other than the fact that you and Santos had like a singles match with Chuck and TK. Like
Dave, that should have got Hero of the Week.
They were going for enough. They didn't need you weaseling in.
Listen, they put themselves in this position. I didn't do anything. I'm just having some fun. They wanted the stakes, so they're getting the stakes.
I think it's what your idea of fun is that maybe is the stumbling point here.
You're being very personal about this. You're bringing your own bias into this, and that's on you. If you want to do that, that's absolutely fine, okay? I'm not going to stop you from doing it. But you have to admit that that's what's happening here. I didn't push TK and Mambo into doing some sort of stipulation where if they lose, it's the last time, right? In fact, I was trying to be nice. Okay, you don't understand this because you're not from Southampton, so you don't understand what was happening there. Okay, but I was trying to rally them up. I was trying to motivate them into creating such a beautiful moment like the one that was at the Copper Box, right? Like Southampton has so much love for me, and I was just trying to share that love with Sunshine Machine. It was a little bit of tough love. What was happening there?
Do you genuinely feel like your, what should we say, pep talk is what motivated them to beat GYV?
I feel like when TK Cooper walked out of Sunshine Machine and his tag team partner and left him for dead, when he stopped in that hallway, the voice that he was listening in his head was not his family when he was a kid trying to raise him to be a good person, was not the voice of Chuck Mambo, who so many times has very likely told him how much he loves him, how much he cares for him. It was my voice telling him that this is exactly what was going to happen and that he brought this on himself. So I would like to officially and kindly receive, right, and accept the gratitude that Sunshine Machine have given me, because if it wasn't for me, they wouldn't be the current undisputed British Tag Team Champions.
I mean, that's a take, isn't it?
Speaking of a take, you started
right. Maybe you're absolutely right.
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so.
We need to speak to TK, don't we?
Yeah, do that. Ask him how he feels about that. I'm sure that he'll be very happy to do that. Hey, George, I got a question for you. You're saying that I've requested time here on the podcast. However, on the 1st of September 2024 at 11:53, you replied to one of my tweets saying, in the interest of fairness, maybe we need to get you on the podcast to discuss this with David?
Wow. Yeah. To be fair, and you know what? To be fair, in the interest of fairness, my opinion is totally swayed because I wasn't going to back you up here, David. But as soon as I found out that it was villain of the week for what you were doing to Sunshine Machine, well, I can't get on with that as being villain of the week. So, look, I'm going to stand on business here, and I'm not going to say that Cadbury's is the best chocolate in the world because we all know it's not.
Okay, have you had a Lindt chocolate bar already?
Yes.
Okay. So I've already improved your life and hopefully the life of a lot of people that are listening to this because I caught your attention to the fact that Lindt has chocolate bars. Have you tried? They put out 2 new flavors recently. Okay, they call them the Classics Collection. It's another bar, but this time it's blue. The paper's a little bit different. Okay, and they have their classic one, which is basically the Lindt chocolate that doesn't have the creaminess inside, and then they have cookies and cream filling on that chocolate. And you can find them in a lot of the big chains there. And as soon as they come out, it kind of disappeared because it's sold so well.
I'll have to find those out.
Have you tried that?
I haven't, which is hard to believe for a lot of people I know, given that I'm not exactly the thinnest of men. I do love a chocolate bar, and they are going on my list. David Francisco, hate to say it, but you've improved my life.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
We'll get a bar, and we will share it between Spike, George, and I in the Southampton queue next month.
Which is good because each bar has 6 squares, so you can share evenly. Although, just because of the t-shirt he's wearing, Spike should probably get 3 squares, and then you guys can divide 1.5.
Kiss
David is spoken. That's what's happening.
DavidFrancisco.net/merch if you want to get one of those or one of these. That's it. Thanks. That's all I wanted to come here to the podcast. Bye.
Oh God, I can tell this is going to be a ride and a half, isn't it? Except for Spike, who is going to sit there and
Spike's going to literally just sit there and lap it up.
I'm having the time of my life, gents. I'm not going to lie.
Spike, was it you that coined the phrase, the patron saint of St Mary's?
Yeah, that was me.
I hate
you.
Everyone needs to understand that every single thing that Francesca said in that intro were things that were fed to me, and I didn't come up with any of them. Home away from home is mine.
There is something in water in Southampton. I've made enough trips down there to realise these people are a unique bunch.
I don't know what you're talking about. I keep talking about there's something wrong there, but they're just recognizing talent. They've seen me grow as a wrestler in front of them, and you just don't know. You weren't there. You weren't there when Levi was acting the way that he was towards me. You weren't there when Spike Trevay did the things that he did to me in Southampton. Maybe as you continue talking about my attitude, you should look back at my history as a contender, since you're such a Ref Pro historian, and realize that these are the consequences of everyone else's actions.
One thing that I can say is Southampton, like the 1865s, become one of the loudest venues on the Rev Pro route, and no one gets a louder reaction than you. And I said it the other day. I said it on our podcast, and I genuinely mean it. You and Charles Samuel should be the main event of the next 1865 show, because nobody on that card is going to get a louder reaction, and no one else is going to put on a more kind of emotional journey of a professional wrestling match than you two in that match.
I just want to correct that take you had there.
That was special.
I just want to correct that take you had there, because when it comes to people who should be main eventing, you can't say that me and Shah should both be. I should be the main eventer, and it just happens that Shah is the person that's wrestling me.
Yes, agreed.
Fair.
He's not large yet, so.
David, what
it will be fun though.
What does Shah Samuel's respect mean to you? Why is that going to be so important in Southampton?
Okay. I'm glad that you're giving me this opportunity to talk about this. Because I want to clarify some things. I want to clarify some things. I don't need Shah Samuels to tell me that he respects me to believe that he does. Because I know that he does. And I've been doing this ever since the Revolution Rumble. that I've been very honest and open about everything that I've been saying. I know that Shah Samuels respects me because every single thing that I'm doing as the centerpiece and every single thing that I've done to him as the centerpiece is things that I've learned from him. Right? You can go back on my YouTube channel. You can see the videos where he's training me for that match against Joshua James in St. Neots that eventually got me in the Revolution Rumble. And you can see him, not me, alluding to the kind of things that he used to do when he was in a similar position as me. And that sometimes you just have to take the extra mile. And I've learned those things from him. The problem that Shah Samuels has is not with me. The problem Shah Samuels has is with himself. Because somehow he feels ashamed of the things that he has done to gain success, but he doesn't want to admit it. He's projecting it onto me. I am nothing but a therapy session for Shah Samuels. And I am actually doing him a favor because I'm trying to celebrate Shah Samuels. He's the first ever undisputed British heavyweight champion. He's a legend in this country. He is a reference. I have people from Portugal telling me about how much they love and they study Shah Samuels. He will forever be a reference to everyone in this country, very likely in the same vein as some of the big stars from before were, which is fair. But he's trying to run away from that legacy that he leaves behind. And I'm trying to celebrate the legacy that he has. And if he is very angry because he's hiding behind this wall of anger to look inwards and accept himself for who he is, that's his problem. I will continue to fight for him. And I know that I have his respect because everything I'm doing is things that I've learned from him. And he respects himself, therefore he respects me. Now, the problem isn't that. The problem is that Shah Samuels decided to take things a little bit further and decided to, despite the fact that I keep having spotlight on me, he continues to try and steal it and try to ride my coattails. So I don't want him to tell me that he respects me because I need to hear it to believe it. I want him to admit that he respects me just so he can move on. Because I feel like he just can't move on from me. I'm trying to do him a favor. I'm trying to improve his life the same way that I've improved yours, George.
Yeah, so selfless, aren't you, David? Spike,
yes.
You're sitting there, not saying much. How do you think Southampton is going to react 3 weeks from today when that match is in front of them and David Francisco, the self-appointed only person that actually should be main eventing, is on the show?
It's going to be the loudest we've had in a long time, I think, because unironically, we love David Francisco. And everything he says true. Is ever since we saw the Levi Muir match, we saw the Spike Gervais match, and it was that promo when he decided that he was angry at Rev Pro, we agreed with him. And ever since then, it just got better and better. And I think we all want Shah to say he respects David Francisco, and we know he's going to. It's going to be epic. It's going to be. I mean, you saw last time. I said to you boys, I've never seen Francisco sell so many T-shirts. Because Southampton was just there for him, and I think he's going to make a mint in October, and he probably can take 2 weeks off after that just on merch sales alone from that match. It's going to be insane, and I can't wait. I'm going to be no voice left.
Someone was messaging me about specific Southampton T-shirts, and I haven't replied back, but I'm going to. Was that you, Spike? It's so hard for me to like mix in the names.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go. Yeah, let's talk. We'll talk. I got you.
Spike's going to have too much money soon to be on the channel.
Oh, I'll be homeless, but it's fun.
Excellent. Well, lads, we've got a show coming up, a couple of shows coming up next week. And David, as you've given us your time, you're really gracious there to use the platform to kind of get across what you think Shah Samuels needs to show you. I was wondering if you would be happy to spend some time with us. You're obviously the centerpiece of Rev Pro, but we've got the event that is probably the centerpiece, if you will, of the Cruiserweight division, the J Cup, coming up next week. Would you mind if we ran down the card and get some insight from you as to what you're looking for on that show as well?
I think that sounds great. Definitely, let's do that. Especially because, and I just want to manage everyone's expectations, and unfortunately, I'm going to say this live, and RevPro won't be able to exploit the fuzziness of confirmations to not sell as many tickets as they could. I am not going to be a part of this weekend. I have a very important personal commitment that keeps me away from it, so I'm just glad that at least I can still contribute somehow. Okay, there we go. Let's do this.
Fantastic. Well, let's start, shall we, with the 8 men in the tournament. And David, I imagine you've probably done. Sorry, Dave, I should say, rather than David. God, I'm getting myself confused here.
It's okay. He's Dave and I'm David. That is exactly what it should be. People should not call me Dave. Regardless of Dave the Mark, people in general should not call me Dave.
Excellent.
And you know what? The only people that call me David are my wife and my mother-in-law, and I hate her.
And me.
And you. Yeah. And Mr. Francisco.
Oh, wonderful. Dave the Mark. I imagine by the time this comes out, if I haven't seen it already, you'll have done a write-up on J-Cup and the competitors. What's your thoughts going into Saturday about the field of competition for the actual tournament itself?
Well, first off, when we recorded our pod last week, we were speculating on who the 8th person could be, and we were saying how, given that we had like Leo Rush coming over, Barbaro Cavenario coming over, we've got Robbie Eagles coming over, we didn't think that we would be looking at another person making a long distance travel for it, and we were completely wrong, as we have Dante Martin. So I think it's probably as star-studded British J-Cup field as we've had in a long time. I'm really fascinated to see what the individual matches are going to be, because there are so many like interconnecting stories. Like Robbie Eagles and Cavenario wrestled the opening round of the J-Cup in 2019, and it was like a 20-minute banger. So we could run that back, and everybody there would be like loving to see that. We've got Robbie X and the TMDK teasers that have occurred over the last couple of weeks. And obviously we've got TMDK member Robbie Eagles in there. We've got Robbie X and Leo Rush, who are 1-for-1 in Rev Pro and are due a rubber match. We've got the Lykos boys in there. It would be fascinating to see at some point if they can both get through their opening round, them in the same match against each other in the final, or if they got drawn against each other in the opening round. You've got Dante and Leo, who are obviously aligned in AEW. So there's just all these little kind of all these little details which I think make each of the opening matches, no matter what gets put together, to be really fascinating. And I think it's the most unpredictable J-Cup that we've had in a long time. I think last year there was like a big surge of support for Leon Slater, and not necessarily that he was like, I don't think you can have a favourite to win in a competition like this, but he was the fans' choice. And the year before, Robbie X was definitely the fans' choice. I think this year you'll have a much bigger split in the Gordon Craig Theatre, and you'll get people in effectively all 8 men's corners. And I think that makes it really fascinating, and it's going to be a really enjoyable night. I can't wait.
Yeah, I think the same, and I'm really looking forward to this show. And what's really evident to me is like the amount of different people we've got from all the different partners of Rev Pro. New Japan have featured there, CMLL, AEW are in there as well. And we were talking last week, obviously, we expect to see some of the big names in the Final Four, but there's a lot of big names in there, actually. So, Spike, when you're looking at that field, who right now, if I was to put you on the spot, out of those 8 participants, would you see or expect to see in that Final Four?
I think Kid Lykos, like I said last week, I think he'll be in there. I do think it'll be Lykos versus Lykos too. I think you'll get Lykos in the final. I think Dante, Martin, and Leo will be in the final. But then the other one will be Robbie X. But then again, that leaves 4 people that are so good that are not in there. So it could be any combination of them, which makes it, for me, the best J-Cup in a while. Because we had this discussion last year, we probably could have told you the Final Four. But this year, it could be anybody. But that's who I reckon it will be. And I still think Lykos will win it.
Interesting. David, you're no stranger to being able to spot talent. I mean, Golden Boy Santos proven to be a revelation in Rev Pro, and you two going from strength to strength together as a team as well. You've got a unique spot here where you are backstage with these guys and see their preparation for matches. Is there anyone that's jumping out to you that you could see as an early favourite to win?
First of all, I would like to clarify that my ability to spot talent goes both ways, both in spotting talent that is good and has a lot of potential, needs to shine, and needs some guidance and some help in the new environment, and I can be that, like Golden Boy Santos, and talent that maybe just doesn't cut and doesn't have what it takes, and probably are weights that just drag you down, as opposed to being people that can just help you rise forward, in the case of Joshua James. Regarding the field of the British Jacob, you know who to me is the wild card, and I think has the potential, if the stars align right, to really stand out, is Lykos 2. And I know that between Lykos and Lykos 2, if nothing else, just for the numerology and how important the 1 versus 2 is, that sometimes maybe Lykos 2 gets a little bit lost in the shuffle. And obviously Lykos has been very consecrated in promotions up and down the country, and a staple of the scene right now. It would be very interesting to see Lykos doing in this environment where it's not about Lykos Gym as a team, but it's about being a top cruiserweight in a field of incredible athletes, to see what he can do and see if he somehow can sneak his way into the 4-way. And how would the dynamic between him and Lykos go? Would Lykos be happy sharing the spotlight there? Would he be supportive of his boy the same way that his boy was supportive of him when Lykos was having some of the biggest wins of his career? Or would there be a little bit of jealousy there? What would happen there? The other thing that I think is really good, the actual privilege of having, and I'm going to specifically talk about Lio Rush, but this is a point you can apply to everything. The privilege of having an incredible athlete like Lio Rush coming as regular as it comes to Revolution Pro Wrestling should not be understated. Or overstated. Which one of the two? I don't know. I can't speak this language. You know what I mean. Should not be looked over. This is, and maybe it's because we obviously had like the wrestling world stopping the way it did, and rebuilding things from the pandemic makes it really hard. But this is the ethos of Rev Pro from the beginning. You have top international talent from around the world coming into the country and facing top talent from the country who are at the exact same level. And I think that, if nothing else, Robbie X's participation in a CMLL earlier in the month just proves that what I'm saying is true. And the ability, this is something. Remember how PWG a few years ago was kind of known for being a super indie who was able to put together matches that maybe you wouldn't be able to see anywhere else due to political reasons, and it was just PWG was an exception to that. Right now, Rev Pro has this magic ability of creating fields and interest by bringing fresh matchups and talent that is highly featured in their own places, and meet them together to put together a field like this one. And that is insane. Right, and it's a privilege to be a part of, right? So yeah, I think that Lykos 2 is probably going to be very underrated in people predicting what's going to happen with this British J-Cup. I think this is a great place for Cameron Khai to get some chops in and get used to having bigger spotlights and bigger stages on him. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see Robbie Eagles and Barbaro Cavenario bringing in new dynamics to all these other people that maybe are not used to wrestling competitors like they do.
Absolutely, and I hate to agree with you. I absolutely hate to agree with you, but
I am really smart. It's very hard not to.
I'm gonna take your word for that. But yeah, I do agree. And Lio Rush was one that I was so glad to see. The boys will remember when we were having our talk about who we thought was going to be the additional person in the Cruiserweight Scramble, and Lio Rush for me was the one I really wanted to see. Lucky enough to see him at Portsmouth Guildhall back in 2022 against Connor Mills, and just a blast. Great, underrated.
That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. How insane is that? You know, sometimes there's like these gems that come into the British scene that probably wouldn't be able to see them anywhere else due to like contract and political reasons and anything. Like Mills wrestled Swerve Strickland a few years ago, and that match is just on YouTube, you can find it, and that's crazy. It's the same thing here. It's just great, you know. We can't take this for granted. We cannot take this for granted.
And do you know what? When you look at the wrestlers that come into Rev Pro from abroad, who wrestle for all sorts of different companies, at the end of the year, when you look at what their best matches are, their Rev Pro match will always be at the top of their best matches of the year. Like, it will always be in that discussion because everybody shows out when they get in the Rev Pro ring, because there is such a high standard that you have to bring your A game because nobody in a Rev Pro ring is bringing anything less. And I think that's something as well that makes it so special.
Absolutely. And I mean, looking at that card, like that was, I think, a Thursday, Friday night in Portsmouth. Like it was a weekday night. And not only was there Leo Rush on there, Minoru Suzuki was on that show. I mean, amazing, right? All these talents coming in. But interestingly, there was a tag team match. Greedy Souls defeating Joshua James and David Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, that happened. Joshua
now.
James. Yeah, Joshua James has always been really bad at wrestling, and he really dragged the team down.
Yeah, understandable. Looking at the rest of the card that we've got, then, guys. Shall we start with Zozaya versus JJ Gale?
Zozaya.
Oh, sorry.
Not to correct you, I don't want to be pedantic, but Zozaya.
Oh,
I slip in and out of that all the time. I think Andy
a lot of people get it wrong.
It's
been very fun to hear a few American analysts and everything on their own shows, watching shows like the anniversary show and butchering his name completely. It's so fun. It's Zozaya.
Zozaya, sorry. And I
there you go.
From the chants
I've always believed you could do it, George. I'm so proud of you.
We are there live chanting Zozaya and butchered it. Oh, what a time. Well, Zozaya versus JJ Gale. And lads, we were talking last week about kind of what was next for JJ, and we weren't sure the direction we're going. I don't know about you, Dave, but I didn't expect this match against Zozaya.
No, and I'm really intrigued by it because both men, in my eyes, need a big win. Because Zozaya had all the momentum, and he got the win over Luke Jacobs. Luke Jacobs wins the Undisputed British Heavyweight Championship. So you're immediately looking at Zozaya to be the next person. But then a couple of defeats in Berlin and the defeat of the Copper Box against RKJ puts a little question mark over that. And obviously, he then bounced back massively with the win over ELP in the 229. Mm-hmm. So if he can get over JJ Gale here, you'd expect him to be knocking at Luke Jacobs' door very soon. On the other hand, he's such like he's a form wrestler. He'll knock 3 or 4 matches on the bounce and get big wins, but then he'll go on a losing streak of 2 or 3 matches, and then it'll come back round and he'll get 3 or 4 on the spin again. And it's like, if he was a football team, he'd be one of those like top 6 football teams. But if he wants to be the Premier League winning team, he's got to grind those wins out when he has had a couple of defeats on the bounce. So I think, I'm fascinated by this because I could see either man capable of picking up the victory, and I have no idea how it will go. My only hope is that it is a completely clean fight and it's not one which is influenced by Connor Mills, who seems to have Zozaya in his sights after the 229.
Interesting. Spike, how about you? What's your thoughts on this match?
Personally, I reckon it could spin off into a little forever feud because you've got that. They're both like 2 little moons revolving around Luke Jacobs at the moment, and you could just keep beating that drum because they're always going to do fantastic matches, and you could keep it going you keep feeding Jacobs some like imports or challenges, and just keep JJ and Zozaya rolling around and keep it going, and then have the big blow off number 1 contenders match between them. Because any match they do is going to be good. You could do a best of 7 series. Every match will be fantastic. So I don't really care who wins, because I just want to see it again. I just want to keep seeing it. So I don't mind. I want it to be clean. I would like the first one to be nice and clean. But then I do like Connor Mills, so if he gets involved, that's not going to bother me too much. But yeah, I just want to see it forever.
Excellent. I think this one has real potential to be a really great match. I mean, we've seen the output of these guys on what they've been doing in 2024 alone is fantastic. Zozaya has come onto the scene and just kind of taken over the prodigy, and people eyes are open to kind of what he's all about and what he's bringing. JJ, especially in places like Southampton, we've been seeing like show in, show out what he's about. how he's progressing up through there. And I think that's really great, Spike, what you mentioned there about the both being kind of in and around the orbit of Luke Jacobs, obviously the undisputed British heavyweight champion. David, I can't help but think that once you've gained the respect publicly from Shah, that you'd like to insert yourself into the mix there as well.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I already am. And it's important to see where the best move forward is. For example, I understand the perspective of looking into things, of trying to see logically who is supposed to be challenging for the title next and who seems to have some momentum. But I feel like this is a romanticized way of watching professional wrestling, probably due to the habit of... Anyways, but that's not how wrestling actually goes, right? Like, the way... And this kind of goes into the point of we were talking, I'm sure, later about in Sheffield about the match between Luke Jacobs and Jay Joshua, but I'll save that for later. But it kind of includes into this, where momentum is important, but it's not the only thing that is important. Sometimes being in the right place at the right time is more important, especially in indie wrestling, where things can happen, right? You don't have a commitment and a contract to a long-term stay like that. You are just taking matches individually as they come and try your best to be in the right place at the right time to do something, right? Although I'm sure at the time there was a lot of people with a lot of momentum, Zozaya happened to be in the right place at the right time in Barcelona and be in the ring with Michael Oku and happened to defeat him. Therefore, 2 weeks later, he got a title shot, right? Jay Joshua is wrestling Luke Jacobs in Sheffield, and you may be like, oh, but his win-loss record. Like, yes, but sometimes it's about being in the right place at the right time. Because, and I feel like we forget this, wrestling is cool, and the coolest thing about wrestling is watching cool professional wrestling matches. And Spike, as the smartest member of the panel, the current, at least the regular panel on this show, since you have the best taste, you brought that up, and I think that's really important. Why is this match happening? Because that's why, because of course it's going to be incredible. Two of the top athletes in the country, just lining up to try again to be in the right place at the right time. Sometimes you're only as good as your last performance in the match you had. It would mean a lot for Zozaya to defeat JJ Gale and get back up. It would mean a lot for JJ Gale, who keeps toying around and finding the best strategies to win, and he feels like his win-loss record this year has been back and forth. It would probably mean a lot for him to win, right? Zozaya has lost his shine, his newness shine. People are now getting used to him, have studied him more, understand more how they can defeat him, and that's why lately he's been losing more than maybe in the beginning, where he felt like he was gaining a lot of momentum. So now he's real. Now the challenge starts, because now you don't have the surprise element anymore, right? When it comes to me, I'm going to be involved in it, but I am in no rush, okay? If there's one thing you need to know about me, is that I am petty and I'm patient. I haven't forgotten that JJ Gill eliminated me from the Revolution Rumble, and when the time is right, when I am in the right place at the right time, I will come and claim my receipts. And the same thing happens with Zozaya, because you can only have, that this is the way it goes. I have there's a quota that needs to be fulfilled, and you can't have more than that. There can only be one Spanish-speaking wrestler in the Rev Pro roster, right? And there's already one more. So I'll come and claim my place as well. Things will happen, and it's always about making sure that you can really capitalize, not just on whatever momentum you're building and going things slowly, but sometimes about capitalizing on how things are right now and what you get given.
I completely get that. You look at last year, and Trent Seven and Zach Gibson are two perfect examples of people who put themselves in a position to get a championship opportunity with Michael Oku. They forced Andy Gordon's hand. And then you look at the fact that this weekend, Luke Jacobs is going to wrestle one like Manders on Saturday, and he's going to wrestle Jay Joshua on Sunday. And if either of those men can beat Luke Jacobs, you know that they're going to then be able to push their hand to say that they deserve that next shot. So there are so many moving parts, which are so interesting to study. And I am a massive nerd I'm a massive stats guy, and I love like looking at all of those details. But you are absolutely right. Sometimes it is purely right place at the right time, taking the opportunity that comes in front of you, or forcing an opportunity for yourself.
And it's even more than that, because a lot of times those things get romanticized. You look backwards at the past and you romanticize and just look fondly at the fact that these people have forced the hands of the deciders into giving them the opportunities that they want. But then when it's happening right in front of you, and say someone like, oh, I don't know, me takes and claims the exact same and does the same things, gets called a weasel by more than one relatively famous name in the Ref Pro, not just fandom, but also in the Ref Pro structure, right? Because we're looking with the eyes of the present as opposed to be looking at the past, it's the only difference between looking at it fondly and looking at it with a little bit of reprobation and like it's a bad thing.
Yeah,
I'm the hypocrite.
A very fair point. There may be a tad hypocrisy there on my part. I can hold my hand up there.
No, I'm the villain, Dave. I'm the villain.
Going back to what David said about JJ Gale, there's two matches that I think in Southampton would be really interesting to watch. David Francisco versus JJ Gale and David Francisco versus Michael Oku. Because those three are our boys. And I would love to know what the dynamic would be. Because I think David will get cheers over JJ. But the Oku one would really interest me. Because they are the three. They're always on the card and they're always the loudest reaction. So I don't know, David, I don't know how you would feel about either of those matches. But
I'll take on anyone at any time. I'm very ready for any challenge. I remember when I was a contender months and months ago that I specifically asked the Ref Pro team if I could test myself against Michael Oku in Southampton, obviously understanding that that wasn't at the time that much of a ticket selling endeavor, and maybe because of marketing reasons that Michael Oku had to be in a more high profile match. JJ Gale has privately stated his annoyance, which is actually jealousy, over the fact that I came into his hometown and became a bigger hometown hero than him. And I just want to add to that we're talking about JJ Gale versus Zozaya, and inevitably we are now talking about me instead of talking about JJ Gale, which only proves my point. The actual match that I would be not the actual match, I'll be very interested in both of those, just like any match in Southampton. But another match I'd be very interested in Southampton to have is myself defending the honor of our hometown against Will Caven.
Oh.
Right? Oh, I will as the hero of Southampton, I will come in and defend the honor of this incredible place, the most magical place of the South Coast. There's another moniker, just came up with it. Against Will Caven, who's really mean. I cannot believe Will Caven is as mean as he is. What a horrible person, honestly.
That would be such a rowdy match as well. Fucking hell, that'd be... I could hear it. That would be something different.
100% I can hear it. I can hear specific people in that crowd as well. I can hear the chants. I can imagine the reactions for Caven as he comes out. I can imagine the reactions for you, David, when you come out. I think that is possibly one of the loudest possible matches that Rev Pro could book anywhere.
Gonna have to go to a different venue. Sorry? Oh, for the Cruiserweight Championship? Now, I know that Project Hexagon is going really well. I know that I'm looking at my best that I've been for a long time, but I don't think it's even healthy for me to go down to a Cruiserweight weight. You know, I think I'm a heavyweight wrestler, and I'm very happy to do so. Have I ever been Cruiserweight? What's Cruiserweight in Ref Pro? 185? 205? When shot did... Is it 205?
Yeah.
205? Where am I right now? I am lingering above that, but what's healthy for me is to linger above that. I've been below that, and it wasn't healthy at all. It was like right before the pandemic, I was below that, and it was not a good idea. So I'm very happy where I am now and continue where I am. So unfortunately, the magical moment of taking Will Caven's title away from him in our hometown away from home is
Killer
not
Dave
going to be able to
Hour.
happen. But I would still take on him in front of you if it would make you happy. Whatever I can do to make Southampton happy, I'll do it. I'll do it.
We do have a show there on the 8th of December, I believe, isn't it? So I think that's a message to Andy Quilden. Get that match booked. It's Christmas time. Give the people what they want. Give them the present of David Francisco defending the honour of Southampton against Will Caven. That'd be a money match there, wouldn't it?
When does this show come out? On Friday, right?
Yes,
yeah. I can't wait. I can't wait for Saturday afternoon when I finish teaching my London School of Wrestling classes. Look at my phone and see Andy Quilden calling, and me knowing exactly why he's calling, and me getting those 5 minutes of him yelling at me for going into business for myself. I didn't say anything. I have the tape. This is on tape. I'll film it on my side as well if I have to. I brought up the match as something that would be fun. I am not out here trying to claim for it, okay? Andy, it's your business. You know what's best for you. Right? You know what's best for you. It doesn't matter who you maybe the best thing to do when I'm in Southampton is to kind of like help bring some people up, some people that you may want to get some attention. Right? Yeah.
I think you could argue, David, that, and again, I hate to give you credit, but credit where it's due. I think you could argue that you've just done a bit of marketing for RevPro, right? You've put an idea out there. You've tested the waters, and you've seen the reaction of these fine gentlemen here who are going to make up part of that crowd, and you've seen the reaction there. Imagine subscriptions at RevProOnDemand.com that Andy Quilden will get off the back of that match being announced.
I would never, ever tell Andy Quilden how to run his business. Who am I to do? Now, it is true that he's been touting how subscriptions for the On Demand have been up lately, and that timing kind of matches up with the timing of me graduating from the Contenders division and becoming a full-fledged member of the RevPro roster, which is something that at the time he was saying it wasn't a good idea in the first place because I did it myself. So, I'm not making that comparison. I am only saying it may be a coincidence. Maybe not. You guys think however you want to think it.
Absolutely. Well, talking about making a place for yourself. I mean, you've done that, David. You'll know what that's all about. But we've got someone who could make a real place for himself in RevPro. One called Manders against Luke Jacobs on Saturday at the Gordon Craig Theatre. Spike, how aware are you of Manders, his style, and what's your thoughts when this one got announced?
I'll be perfectly honest, I've not seen a lot of one called Manders, but I'm interested because I love seeing you guys in RevPro, and if it's against Jacob, it's going to be fucking hard. So I'm just happy. I'm just intrigued to watch it really, because again, I've not watched a lot of the Uncle Manders matches. I couldn't tell you his style, but I want to learn, and I'm excited to learn about him and against the second best wrestler in RevPro is a good idea.
Good correction there. Caught yourself right there. I mean, I've seen a few of Manders matches when I was watching some Wrestling Revolver. The guy hits hard, and he's a big, imposing dude. And I think going up against Luke Jacobs, like we've seen the matches against Ishii. We know what these kind of matches can be like, and we've got another match with Ishii coming up at Global Wars. This has the opportunity to be the real show stealer if one like Manders one called Manders could actually beat Luke Jacobs and get himself an opportunity at the undisputed British heavyweight title. Dave, how do you think that could go if he was to pull up what many would presume to be the upset victory on Saturday? And obviously we've got Jay Joshua coming up and the Ishii match at Global Wars. How do you see it all working out?
I think it fits in really nicely with Luke Jacobs. He's made no secret of it in the past that he likes to settle his scores. So this time last year, he was calling RKJ out because he wanted to right that wrong, and that was going back to High Stakes 2022. Round 2 of him and Ishii was very much inspired by the fact that he wanted to have another go because he was disappointed in his defeat of the Copper Box last year. He lost to Manders in the 16-karat gold tournament in WXW earlier this year. So I don't think it's any surprise at all that for him coming over, for him to get booked against Luke Jacobs. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Luke hadn't had a word in the year of Andy Gordon to request that when he knew that Manders was being booked. Stylistically, I wasn't very familiar with Manders, like I've done my research. It feels like the perfect kind of hoss fight. He's a proper, like, old school, slow, methodical, but hard hitting fighter. I likened it earlier when I was watching his matches to he doesn't waste any energy, he doesn't waste any movement. So when he does hit, it hits extra hard, and in knowing that one big lariat will be enough to put anybody down for free. I watched one of his matches from GCW, one from Pro Wrestling Revolver, and one from H2O with my Sunday lunch earlier, and I'm really excited for it. I'm also excited to see him the following night in Sheffield with Josh James, because I think that's going to be like a similar match, but I think against Luke Jacobs has got the speed advantage over Manders, whereas against Josh James, Josh has got the size advantage over him. So it'd be interesting to see how he approaches it from like a tactical point of view. But again, he's got the power to knock both of them down and keep them down. So yeah, really, really interesting, and I always love seeing new people.
Absolutely, that's how I feel on a lot of that. But you just touched on the fact that he's going to go up against Josh James. Now that could be a really big, heavy hitting fight. David, I imagine you'll have your eye on that one.
On Joshua James versus one called Manders.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that watching that match is going to give me some great ideas for any training that I can do at the London School of Wrestling, since I'm for sure that match is going to be nothing but a learning lesson for Joshua James. Yeah, I believe so. He'll make me a better trainer, 100%. I find it very interesting that this match is the match against Luke Jacobs is happening at the J Cup, because it's the best palate cleanser that you can have on something like the J Cup. Anyways, here's two big horses just slapping it out for your own entertainment. I find it interesting as well. It's a good thing. I was trying to think if the same thing happened with the Michael Lykos reign, but I believe it did, where you just don't hand out championship opportunity. I can't believe I just said championship opportunity. My God, that.
I caught myself the same phrase earlier.
That's the one wrestling lingo that sorry, not wrestling lingo, sports entertainment lingo that has crept onto my brain and I haven't been able to kick it out yet. Title shots. Just not everyone just gets a title shot just because they're coming in. I think it's great that it's just a very good test. It's good for Luke Jacobs to keep it going and kind of assert this dominance in the Ref Pro locker room. And I think it's going to be a beautiful scene as that match is starting. The Gordon Craig Theater, if you haven't been there, is this like impressive, beautiful venue that can sit just hundreds and hundreds of people. Just great production. The stage is set, and both wrestlers are in the ring. The second entrance, which I believe is going to be Luke's one, just finishes. The lights are still shining on them, and both wrestlers staring at each other and then pointing, recreating the Spider-Man meme, but this time with cowboy outfits. It's just, you can't wait to see that picture.
I didn't even think about
your favorite wrestler, Stan Hansen. My favorite wrestler, Stan Hansen, as well. Oh, we just love it so much. Yeah, wonderful.
I want to know.
No originality. Oh, I'm doing a tribute. It's a tribute. I am being a tribute. All right, cool, wonderful. 1965 call. They want their ideas back. How about you get some new ones?
Does Manders get to come to the ring to Wanted Dead or Alive by Bon Jovi? Or do they both come to the ring to it? Or are they both going to put it aside? Because they both like it.
Well, maybe they have to fight it out as they go, you know? Maybe they both come to do different versions of Hangman's Adam Page entrance, and you can't really tell which one's which, but that's fine.
Maybe, lads, maybe
great wrestlers. Don't get me wrong, right? Like, impressive challenges, but come on, it's 2024. What are we doing?
Maybe the love of cowboys.
Maybe I don't get it because I'm European. Maybe I'm one of these dumb joke Europeans who just don't get it. Maybe that's the problem, right? I understand it's a big deal there, and we don't have such thing as cowboys, even though I come from a family of farmers, and none of my grandparents have ever used a freaking cowboy hat. I get it's not the thing here, and maybe that's why I think it's silly. But I just think it's very funny that Andy Quillen saw that interest by Luke Jacobs at the anniversary and went, you know what? You know it would be really funny, and I think he's doing this just to entertain himself. And me.
Yeah, maybe, lads, this could be what bonds the two after the match. The love of cowboy bonds the two, and we get a run in the tag league later this year. And I mean, speaking of the tag league, David, yourself and Santos, could we see a run for the both of you in the tag league later this year?
I mean, that's not my call. I mean, if we get invited, we'll 100% getting it. As we said, we don't know if the tag league is happening. We don't know if such a door is going to open for us like that. We're ready for it. I mean, I believe that we as a team have really developed and found ourselves. I know that the win-loss record doesn't say that, but it's because you'll understand that the way we formed was not, we started getting this idea, we trained together, and then we were ready to team when it was time to team. Our team came out of our circumstances, you know? Your enemy is my enemy, therefore we are friends. But we have definitely developed a synergy that can translate itself into tag team success. And while we haven't found it yet, that's because we haven't had a chance to work on it, you know? It's been the approaches that we've been having for the matches so far, and I've been thinking about this when the tag league has been thought up. Obviously, you're not the first person that's been asking this, but the way we've been approaching the matches so far has been an emotional approach, right? We are looking for revenge. We are looking for to assert some dominance. Santos hasn't forgot that Joshua James defeated him. I got Chas Samuels right in front of me, or Santos has a very big issue with Oscar Loiba, and I also have an issue with Oscar Loiba for the things he said, but not at the level that Santos does. And we are going in for revenge. The mindset changes a little bit when you go and try to approach it to have tag team success and be condecorated as a tag team. And I think that we are now recently, having worked together enough, we are in a position now where we have done this in the back. What's the expression? You know, like not in front of the cameras, away from the spotlight. We have done this work, started doing this work. That if such an opportunity gets put in front of us, we will 100% take it, and I am certain that we will be successful on it. Especially because, I mean, have you seen the team lately? We are kind of on a roll. I know that in the long scheme of things, we haven't been very successful, but if you look closely at what's been happening lately, you know, we have been asserting our dominance there. Such a fresh tag team already in the heads of Sunshine Machine. I mean, if for nothing else, Sunshine Machine should consider us for a title shot just because we helped them win this title the way that we did. I think that would be only fair.
I think it would. Like,
credit where credit's due. You last time you were in the Gordon Craig Theatre, it was yourself and Santos against Oscar Lloyd and Charles Samuels, and that was a very dominant performance that saw the back of Charles Samuels, and it was only the fact that the goalposts got moved, if you will, with Yuki Nakashima coming back in. So, you know, like staying it exactly as it is, you prepared for a match with Charles Samuels and Oscar Loiba, and you dominated that match. Then a second match was sprung upon you, which you hadn't prepared for, which, you know, you were not expected to have prepared for. So, you know, credit where credit's due there.
I appreciate that you, as a statistic person and as an historian and ref pro, David, are open and understanding to the points that I've been bringing up. And if there's something that I love about the fact that I'm a professional wrestler in 2024, is that I have all the means to get my message and my perspective out there and to really tell the truth and clarify things to the way they actually are. We were unfairly treated in that match, just like we seem to be a little bit unfairly treated, probably because of the things we were talking earlier about how fondly we look back at people taking their own opportunities, but how badly we look to the current situation when the same thing happens now. And that is important to bring up. That win exists, but there's an asterisk on that win, a huge asterisk that must not be forgotten. And I appreciate you restoring the full version of the facts here in this forum.
It's only fair.
Excellent. And if there's one thing we like to be on this channel, it's fair and unbiased the whole way through, isn't that right, lads? So
especially Spike.
No, yeah, Spike's real unbiased there, isn't he? So looking at the other match that was announced for Sheffield, Dave the Mark. I imagine that one's a little bit of you. This match, Ricky Knight Jr. versus Mike DeVecchio.
Oh, I'm so excited for this. Their first match in Sheffield was one of my favourite matches of the first half of the year. Like just 20 minutes of two men who just should not be able to do the things that they can do in a professional wrestling ring. And it was wonderful. So the fact that we're getting it again, but we're getting it 2 out of 3 falls, I'm assuming, I don't know the rest of the card yet, but I'm assuming in the main event slot, if it's a 2 out of 3 falls match, it will be a special match. It's one where I feel like it's always difficult when there's 2 Rev Pro shows on a weekend and lots of people will make the journey to Stevenage, but then look at it as they've done their wrestling for the weekend. But if you can get up to Sheffield, I think this match alone, regardless of what's on the rest of the card, makes your 20 quid ticket like the best value per ticket you're going to get all year.
I would agree with that. Look, I'm coming up to Stevenage. The journey to Sheffield and then back is just a little bit too much for me. But this is the match that made me think, should I go? Because Mike DeVecchio, when he was on that Southampton card early this year, I've never seen a wrestler who made me go, what the fuck, so many times, to put it bluntly. Like, the things that man can do in the ring is just incredible, and you wouldn't expect it from someone of the size and stature that he is. And we know what RKJ is about as well, right? They're both two men that they're not going to kind of shy away from getting really physical, getting really hard, hitting with each other. And we're talking about a Hoss fight the day before. But I would be surprised to see a little bit of that same kind of energy and almost brutality come in this match. Spike, how are you feeling about the match?
I mean, David was saying about palate cleanser at the J-Cup. This whole show so far is a big old fucking palate cleanser. It's just going to be Hoss fight after Hoss fight after Hoss fight. And yeah, again, as Southampton, I was the same. Mike DeVecchio was incredible. I don't know what else to say to you boys haven't. It's going to be fucking spit and blood everywhere, all through the card, but especially this match. I think RKJ will get the win, but I think he'll earn it. I think it's going to be a proper slugfest, and it's going to be a long, dragged out affair. So it's going to be great.
They seem to really enjoy wrestling each other. Like, RKJ offered Mike DeVecchio the handshake in Sheffield, which, you know, I mean, the whole David Francisco and Golden Boy Santos kind of origins comes from the fact that Santos wanted the handshake from RKJ and RKJ didn't give it to him. RKJ offered it to DeVecchio in Sheffield. Their match in Berlin was really good for the GWF Championship. And again, like, they do things to each other which you cannot imagine somebody doing to another person. And then at the end of the match, picking them up, having a handshake, a hug, and walking backstage and presumably having a beer together. Like, you know, dropping each other on their heads and on their backs on the apron and all sorts. And it's like they fight with this real kind of venom, but it seems to be all through like this mutual respect, which is, you know, quite refreshing to see. I think that it'll be a match that we're still talking about at the end of the year.
I agree, and something that you just said that caught my attention as well, Dave, was obviously kind of almost a tag could come there with RKJ and Mike DeVecchio against David Francisco and Golden Boy Santos, and there could be another marquee match for Southampton, really, couldn't it, at the end of the year? That's 3 marquee matches that we've said could come to Southampton, and the one consistent thing is David Francisco.
Sheffield also appreciates David Francisco. In fact, the entire Ref Pro world appreciates David Francisco. I got a lot of fans there as well, which I appreciate. So they may want to see it as well. Come on, what are we talking about here? My favorite way to approach this match. First of all, a couple of things. I wonder if the reason why there's only dumb jock heavyweight. Why do you keep calling them dumb? Come on, now I'm making that reference as well. I would never do that. Maybe the reason why there's mostly heavyweight matches being announced for Sheffield is because Ref may be holding on announcing matches that involve the cruiserweights that were part of the cup the day before, because it would probably a lot depends on the results of those matches and to see where things go, right? I wouldn't be surprised. This is completely listen, I don't have inside information. Do not hear to this more than take this as face value, okay? I don't know. And if I'm by any chance, this is an idea that has already been thrown around, I didn't know about it, okay? I wouldn't be surprised if it be some sort of like revolution tag with the people that were involved in the J Cup there. It would be a great way to feature all that talent. Like you got the day before, you got all those 8 people that are there on the show the day before. It would be a surprise to me if they are not part of the Sheffield show. So I'm pretty sure that you can kind of bank on the fact that you're going to see all those 8 men on the Sheffield show. This match specifically, the way that my analyst contribution to it, okay? I know that RKJ, he's been very vicious lately, and he's calling himself the killer, and I should know. He broke my arm in Sheffield. He is not lying about himself. But the thing that he also has is he is incredibly intelligent. His ring IQ is huge, if nothing else, because of the vast experience that he and his family have that have been trickled down to him. He's been in the ring since he's a little child, and he's just very, very smart in that ring, right? Mm-hmm. I am afraid of being in the ring with Mike DeVecchio because I cannot predict what he's going to do. He is ridiculously unpredictable, and I just have no way of telling what's coming next, so I have no way to try and defend. It's just because he is insane. Mike DeVecchio is insane. He'll just be like, you know, it'd be a really good idea for me to do now. I'm going to jump at this person this way because I can. Imagine when you can do anything, your creativity just goes through the roof, which means that it's much harder to defend against, right? Which means that RKJ, who has all this ring IQ, maybe the one way to counter his ring IQ is being absolutely chaotic in the ring, just like Mike DeVecchio is. And maybe that's why when they're in the ring together, it's just so interesting to watch because of how in these 2 polar opposites of the way they approach professional wrestling they are, right? Like Ricky has perfected his offense because he knows that is effective, and he knows how to utilize his body for maximum effect. Tell me regular moves that Mike DeVecchio does, as in regularly, things that he does. He does everything and different things every match, and he doesn't even. I've seen him before the shows. Like sometimes you go in the ring because you want to see if everything is okay. You want to test the rope, so it's not a surprise when you're there, right? Mike DeVecchio's in the ring, and I can see his head like the cogs turning because he's thinking, "Oh, you know what I could do today? I could do this and jump in and do that." And then I see the exact same face while he's in the match, deciding to come up with things to attack. And I'm like, it's going to be insane. You don't want to miss it. It's definitely tons of value.
David,
he is a breathtaking performer.
Yeah, David just summed it up much more eloquently than my way of, like I said, every time I just watched him, it was, what the fuck? The guy is something else. And if you are someone that is looking at this card thinking, oh, this match, this is what's making me want to go, I imagine that's going to be worth the 20 quid alone. And again, RevProOnDemand.com. If you don't have that yet and you're wondering, who is this Mike DeVecchio guy? What's he all about? First of all, you can go and check the GWF and Rev Pro shows out up on YouTube. You get a great flavour for what the guy is there. It's just someone that I hope comes over more and more because he's an insane performer. So, gents, while we were over the last couple of days, we've had some match announcements for Global Wars as well. So maybe we can just touch on those. Dave, what were your thoughts when you saw those matches announced?
Extremely excited for AZM and Kamji. Like that feels like a real kind of dream match. And I love seeing Kamji in these sorts of spotlights. I can't think of it. We talk about her every week. I can't think of anyone who has put in a bigger shift over the last 12 months in the women's division to earn that spot. I kind of see her as like the captain of that Team Rev Pro Copper Box match, and I'm excited for her there. That's the one for me that's really got me excited.
Yeah, I would say the same. When I saw that announced, first of all, Kanji to me is someone that's having a real career year. Like everything Kanji does is turning to gold, and we've noticed the developments and just how every match there's just improvements there that you're seeing. And from someone that was already a really great wrestler anyway, seeing more people actually give credit and talk about these matches. I've yet to see it, but the match with Jordan Breaks has gained a lot of critical acclaim as well. So it's great to see such, again, a high-profile match get announced for this show for Kanji. So I was really happy with that one. Spike, are you familiar with anything about AZM or know anything about what she brings?
I feel like I've seen a bit. Like we're talking. Last time I sort of dipped into Japanese wrestling was a few years ago, so I'm a bit rusty. But I think it's a testament to Kanji that she gets the big import match, and also that touches on what we were saying last week. I think Mina might get a Rev Pro name in her match, but I'm really happy for Kanji that she's getting she's getting Azumi, she's getting the big showcase there, and I think she's great, and I think she'll win it. I think it's going to be good. I don't think you're going to get a bad match on Global Wars.
Yeah, no, I would agree on that. I think that has potential to be match of the night, but I figure by the time this card gets announced, we're going to be saying that about probably every match on the card. David, what's your thoughts on this match in particular, the women's match that's been announced? And also, as a secondary, if Andy Quilden said, no, you've got your pick of everyone, who would you like to face at Global Wars?
Oh man, asking me the hard questions here. Listen, regarding this match, it's going to be incredible. If you don't know, if you are coming into this match and you have no idea who Azumi is, it's really weird because you spell the name AZM, but I believe, I may be wrong on this, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that you still are supposed to say it Azumi, which is her name before she changed it to spelling it as AZM. If I'm not mistaken, it's still supposed to be Azumi. I may be completely wrong. I'm sorry if I am. But Stardom has this title, which is called the High Speed Championship. It's basically a title that, maybe I have the details of the rules wrong, but I believe that they are either 10-minute or 15-minute limit matches. And the idea for the matches is that they tend to put the fastest wrestlers on their roster wrestling for this championship because it's just, the name is High Speed. You can immediately understand the idea of this, right? Normally, Stardom, because the athletes are smaller, they tend to be closer in their style to cruiserweights, to what we dim the cruiserweight style. So imagine the smallest and therefore the fastest, and the wrestlers that are able to use their bodies as a weapon even more, wrestling for a championship. Azumi was a champion. I had a look to see because I want to give the exact number. She was the high-speed champion between two reigns in a total of 678 days. She's almost synonymous of that title and that division for the past 3-4 years. The first time she won the title was 2020. So that's the kind of style that you can expect, while at the same time she's been maturing and being able to add new aspects of her game into it. And I believe that Kanji is maybe it's definitely one of the most underrated talents in the country, and she might be the best when it comes to potential, the best wrestler that exists in the Rev Pro women's roster. The thing that happens, and I was talking about this earlier, about how it happened with Zozaya, of like, you come in, you have the element of surprise, you have new things that the locker room is not ready for. Eventually people get caught on to those and you get ready. So you have to kind of change your game a little bit and come up with new ideas and new things to do to defeat opponents. Wrestling is cyclical like that. And Kenji, she was the Southside champion when RevPro came back. She was at the top of the women's division. Eventually, everyone else was able to catch up to her and being able to defend for the majority of her offense. So she's now in her phase of having to reinvent herself a little bit so that she could be competitive again. And that's very normal. It just happens like that, right? She's in this stage now, and I believe that wrestling people like she's about to wrestle, like in cases like Azumi and all the experiences that she's having, just brings her closer to finding that again. Or maybe she has found it, and this is the perfect opportunity for her to be in the right place at the right time and catch everyone's attentions, because Kenji has the potential with a good performance and potentially a win here to becoming one of the best and most paid attention to up-and-coming talents in the world when it comes to women's divisions. Who would I wrestle in the New Japan roster? I mean, I would say the question that wouldn't be an easy question to answer, but actually it is. It's Naito for the title. What are we doing here?
Absolutely. And I felt silly for asking the question as soon as it came out of my mouth. I was like,
David, pick one person to wrestle. I want to wrestle Tetsuya Naito for the title.
Yeah.
Best possible answer.
The centerpiece.
Providing Naito gets past Zack Sabre Jr.
If he doesn't, I want to then wrestle Zack Sabre Jr. for the title.
Of course, yeah. IWGP Heavyweight Champion David Francisco.
That's the head question. The heart question is Shingo Takagi. Or the answer. Yeah. That's the head answer. The heart answer is Shingo Takagi.
Yeah, and they'll both be
I'd
fantastic.
love to see both of those matches and would pay a lot of money to come and see.
Absolutely. Great. So, guys, I think that brings us to the end of both of those shows, and I think we've got a good week of Rev Pro coming up. It has felt like a long time since the last show.
George,
yes.
Can I take over? Because now I have a question for you.
Oh, okay, David.
The Rev Pro Trios Grand Prix is coming up.
Mm-hmm.
If we had to pick someone to team with myself and Golden Boy Santos, who would it be? We are discussing this between the both of us, and I feel like your input would at least be a contribution to our brainstorming, because in brainstorming, there's no such thing as bad ideas. So we are accepting any input. I'm not saying that yours would be valuable, we just help with the process. You know what I mean?
Okay. Are you talking on the current main core roster, or are you even talking further afield, like in Europe, people that have done guest spots?
How about both?
Okay.
Porque no los dos?
I'll give you boys some thinking
Give me
time.
one of each.
I'll give you some thinking time, because a name popped into my head straight away. I don't know. Santos will know him very well from times in Europe, but I could envisage David Francisco, Golden Boy Santos, and Ike Navarro working well as a trio.
I don't know if you would want to do that as opposed to. Yeah, I don't know if you would want to do that as opposed to doing Barcelona Blacklist. I believe they are also a trio. I know they're a team. I don't know if they're a trio. But he would probably be like, actually, no, fellas, I want to be with my trio. And I'm like, okay, cool. Enjoy not being booked then.
Yeah, actually, having to think about it, the person added an extra bit of European flair. Let's carry on with the European nature of this team. Apologies if I'm going to butcher the name. Robert Dreisker. I was really impressed with the match when he came to Southampton. Someone I wasn't aware of beforehand, and someone I'd like to see back. That would be really good and add another interesting dynamic to a trio there.
I'd like that.
Jay Joshua. Okay, now.
I'm sorry, give me a second.
Thanks, David. That's pretty cool.
No, you for Jay. Oh, sorry, Jay Joshua, not Joshua James. Oh, I just realized that. Oh, I'm an idiot. Why are there so many? Why are there so many?
You can have Joshua James. I think that'd be cool.
God, that's why I was laughing, because my brain heard Joshua James, and I found that the most hilarious thing in the world. Please clip this out.
Joshua James is. I saw him championing the idea of Joshua James, Jay Joshua, and JJ Gale, which is one of those times where you think like you've gone for the lowest hanging possible fruit there, Josh. by just looking at all the people whose names are similar to your own.
I find it very funny that Joshua James is championing that team because he's looking around being like, oh, who's more relevant than me that I can ride the coattails on? How about these people that have good names? Yeah, I can do that. Sorry. I'm not laughing at Jay Joshua at all. I actually think that would be pretty sick. That may be the best name that I've heard so far. My brain just processed it as Joshua James and immediately found it funny. I'm really sorry because it is hilarious the idea that Joshua James would team on it. Can you imagine? We would have to win despite Joshua James, not with the help of Joshua James. I have no booking responsibilities in Purpose Wrestling, the company that I run, but I really want to try and convince the booking committee to book the JJ Battle Royal. Okay. Which then would come to bite me in the butt because I then have to deal with the budget. And I think I would be like, actually, no, we cannot afford it. It's too much traveling. But Joshua James, JJ Gale, JJ Lynch. Who am I forgetting? There's a Joshua J somewhere, I believe.
Yes, there is. Yeah, J Joshua and Joshua J.
And there's another JJ, I'm pretty sure. But listen, what are we doing? Someone change name. Joshua James, change name so you can finally have a relevant career. How about that? That'd be good.
Oh. Little bit of a burn there. Well, David, I mean, as you quite wanted to ask some questions, is there anything else you'd like to ask? Anything you'd like to just take this opportunity to just talk to the people about and let them hear? Like we said, we want to be a really unbiased source for you to be able to get things out there. So we're at the end of our normal show. The floor is yours if you'd like it.
I would first like to say that I would hate the idea of teaming with Robert Darska, not because I don't think he would be a great partner. I think he would be very successful, the three of us. I am just working very hard and putting so much time and investment into looking somewhat good next to the Golden Boy Santos, which is just an uphill battle. It's syphilis rock thing. What's the thing? I don't know. It's just like there's no point. You'll never end doing it, right? That then I get to be cited by by Golden Boy Santos, and he needs to get out of my mind. I get cited by Golden Boy Santos and Robert Darska, and I think just that would qualify me to be in the cruiserweight division and wrestle Will Caven. I want to say that this was very fun, mostly for you because you got to hear me, and I understand that, and I am very happy to be this beacon of light for you. I want to thank. I think it's been. I've had so many drawbacks, and it's been just both things I could control and I couldn't control. So many things happening when it feels like I was on the verge of finding my place in the world of wrestling. Something would happen, right? And I would lose that footing that I got. And I feel that lately, finally, after a lot of hard work and time and sacrifice that I've been putting forward, I've finally been able to find my place in Carve. I am reaching a height of my career that I've never been able to, and I honestly believe that the majority of the credit that I can give for that is for me. But besides that, there's been a lot of people that have been very supportive and very kind and very nice, as they should, because I've earned all of it, and I would like to thank that. And I also want to thank my critics and my dissers, because I don't care how many times, if you want to make me villain of the week, David, I will make sure that I am the personification of the villain of the week. I will do it, and you will fuel me. Regardless, people have been paying attention, and they've been giving me a chance. They've been listening to me, and I appreciate the chance that I've been given by everyone. And I'm going to continue to ride that coattail. I'm going to continue to push that forward, because I promised in front of Spike, in front of Southampton, but mostly in front of Spike, I promised that I would make myself the centerpiece of Ref Pro and the centerpiece of professional wrestling, and I'm going to do it. And if you want to keep following me on my journey, I am a content guy. As much as I hate that word, I'm going to use it here, okay? I love, if you don't know by any reason, if you're watching this, you've heard of me, but you don't know by any reason, and you like to just find out a bit more about me, I got my YouTube channel where I got vlogs, and I got some deep dives. I'm going to make another one for this this respect match we're about to have, deep dives and good cuts into bringing you in if you never get a chance to actually watch me live, you'll be able to at least know what I've been involved in wrestling and the kind of things that I've been up to. I have a very good video about how this got on my shelf. I'll come back to that in a second. And I'll just try my best to bring you into these journeys that I've been going for, showing you a little bit so that you don't have to just depend on what comes in a GIF or a small video form or Rev Pro, and you actually get some context of the things that are happening with me, not just in Rev Pro, but in so many other places as well. And I love to do it. I really love to do it. The vlogs, I stream live on Twitch every Monday as much as I can. Sometimes I'm busy on Mondays, but I do it, and it's another opportunity to kind of catch people on. And then we get to play Pokemon together, because I want to play all the Pokemon games, and I haven't yet. All of these things are on podcast as well. So if you want to find any of these links and you want to see where it is, if you'd like to just follow me a little bit more and continue to give me that chance to continue to follow me on this journey and give me your time, and you would love to know more about me, follow me. Twitter at I'm D Francisco, Instagram at I'm David Francisco. You will find links to all these things, YouTube, David Francisco channel, and all the links and all the ways you can support me. DavidFrancisco.net is where you can find me, including the link for merch, DavidFrancisco.net/merch. Me and Spike are kindly doing our best job of being mannequins for it, and we'll continue to put it forward. And I really, the difference it makes. I cannot understate the difference it makes as a professional wrestler, as a full-time professional wrestler, to have the support of people the way that I do. And this merch thing has been crazy and way more than I could ever expect when I'm taking my first steps as a full member of the Rev Pro roster. So thanks. I'll continue to put some really cool shirts that have my face on it so you can keep using it, because clearly you want to. I mean, how couldn't you?
Wonderful. And I would definitely say, if you are bored on a Monday night and go, what is there out there to watch? I would definitely recommend watching one of David's Twitch streams. I found myself watching them a few times, even when technical gremlins are out in full force, which, hey, I'm suffering the same today, as the boys will know. David's willingness to persevere to give a great stream to people and great entertainment is well worth your time. And it's not just wrestling talk, as he said. For me, it was chocolate that drew me in, and it's Pokemon that kept me staying there. So please do go watch. The Twitch link is up on the screen right now too.
Thank you. And listen, I invested a lot of money into buying a machine that would make sure those technical problems wouldn't go away. So I promise you, we're cooking now. As the people in my generation say, you know that I'm younger than Michael Oku. As people in my generation say, we're cooking now.
Mr. Francisco, you're the youngest man on our podcast.
Am I? I am. Yeah. That would. Yes, true.
Yeah.
True. And if you invite Michael Oku, I will still be the youngest man on your podcast.
Very true.
I like that you got that dig in there right at the end as well, Dave.
I had to, mate. I had to, because I look the oldest, but George has got a couple of years on there.
Yeah, sadly am. And guys, that feels like a great place to end the podcast. So, David Francisco, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciated the chat. Really appreciate you setting some wrongs right, especially with the villain of the week. And gentlemen, until next time, we are out of here. Catch you later.